The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with laughter. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the Milky Way gathered in their floating seats, pointing and chuckling at the three humans standing on the central platform. Their mockery echoed off the crystal walls, making the chamber feel like a circus rather than the most powerful political body in known space. Captain James Walker stood straight, his weathered face showing no emotion. At his side, Chief Engineer Maria Torres gripped her datapad tighter, her knuckles turning white. Behind them, Dr. Tom Reed kept his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing their ship, the Horizon Breaker. "You expect us to believe," boomed First Speaker Light of Stars, his crystalline body glowing with amusement, "that your species has discovered dimensional travel that we missed for 10,000 years. More laughter followed his words. Walker cleared his throat. "We don't expect you to believe, First Speaker. We're here as a courtesy to inform the Council before our first test flight." A wave of whispers spread through the chamber. The representatives of the Starborn, the oldest race in the galaxy, leaned forward in their seats. Their bodies, made of pure energy contained in crystal shells, pulsed with bright colors. "Humans," said another Starborn elder, "you achieved faster than light travel barely 50 years ago. Your species still fights among itself over resources. You live less than 2 centuries. How could you possibly grasp concepts that our greatest minds found impossible?" Torres stepped forward, her dark eyes fierce. "Maybe that's exactly why we succeeded where you failed. We don't have the luxury of time. We must think differently, work faster, take chances you won't." The laughter grew louder. Some representatives nearly fell from their floating platforms. The delegation from the gas giant worlds released clouds of amused pheromones that made the air thick with their scorn. Walker's mind drifted back to the day 6 months ago, when Torres and Reed had burst into his office at the Luna Space Center. They had been working in secret for years, funded by a coalition of Earth governments who believed in their crazy ideas. The math they showed him that day changed everything he thought he knew about space travel. "Our ship doesn't just bend space," Reed explained to the Council, pointing at the hologram. "It shifts through dimensional layers. Think of space as a book. Current drives dog-ear the page to create a shortcut. We simply turn to a new page entirely." "Impossible," shouted a representative of the machine worlds, their metallic body vibrating with disagreement. "The energy requirements alone would tear your primitive vessel apart." Torres smiled. "That's where you're wrong. We don't fight against reality. We work with it. The power needed is less than our standard fusion drives." The first speaker raised his crystalline hand for silence. "Very well, humans. Since you seem so certain, we will observe this test of yours. When your ship fails, remember that we offered you our wisdom. Remember that we warned you." "Thank you for your concern," Walker said, his voice steady. "The test will proceed in 7 standard days. Any civilization is welcome to send observers." As the 3 humans walked out of the chamber, the laughter followed them. Walker heard snippets of conversation. "Deluded primitives, waste of council time. They'll blow themselves up." In the corridor outside, Torres finally let her anger show. "Did you see them? Sitting up there, so sure they know everything. I can't wait to see their faces when we prove them wrong." "Patience," Walker said, putting a hand on her shoulder. "Let them laugh. In 7 days, we make history." Reed checked his datapad. "Latest simulations are perfect. The drive is ready. Everything we've worked for comes down to this." Walker looked out a nearby window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Horizon Breaker waited in its secret dock, its revolutionary drive humming with possibilities that the arrogant Council couldn't imagine. He smiled, thinking of humanity's long journey from cave paintings to this moment. "Let's go show them what primitive humans can do," he said. Behind them, the Council chamber still echoed with alien laughter. In 7 days, that laughter would stop forever. The hidden shipyard inside the moon's Copernicus crater buzzed with activity. Deep beneath the lunar surface, engineers and technicians worked around the clock on humanity's greatest achievement. The Horizon Breaker sat in its cradle, its sleek black hull absorbing the harsh work lights. Captain Walker stood at the observation window, watching his crew run final checks. 6 days remained until the test that would change everything. Behind him, Maria Torres burst into the room, her boots clanging on the metal floor. "Captain, we have a problem," she said, holding up her tablet. "The alien observers are demanding to inspect the drive chamber." Walker turned from the window. "They were bound to try something like this. What did you tell them?" "That access to experimental technology is restricted under Earth law." Torres smiled. They didn't like that much. The intercom crackled. "Captain, to the bridge for pre-flight checks." Walker and Torres took the elevator down to the ship's main level. The Horizon Breaker's interior still had that new ship smell, a mix of fresh paint and clean metal. They passed dozens of crew members, each focused on their tasks, carrying the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders. On the bridge, Navigation Officer Anna Lee sat at her station, running simulations. Her fingers danced across 3 different screens, mapping paths through dimensions that most races thought impossible to reach. Robert White, their science officer, stood behind her, checking her calculations. "How's it looking?" Walker asked, settling into his captain's chair. "Beautiful," Lee answered, not looking up from her work. "The 7D corridors are stable. I've mapped our complete route through higher space. We'll be able to see everything the aliens can't even imagine." White pointed to a complex diagram. "The drive creates a bubble of altered spacetime around the ship. When we activate it, we'll slide between normal space and the higher dimensions, like slipping between the pages of a book." In simple terms, Torres added, "We're not just going faster than light. We're stepping outside the normal universe for a moment." A warning light flashed on the main console. Security Chief Mike Davis's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, our guests are getting pushy. The Starborn Observer is demanding immediate access to engineering." Walker pressed the comm button. "Tell them they can look all they want after the test. Until then, standard security protocols remain in place." He turned to his crew. "They're scared. All these advanced races and a bunch of primitives figured out something they missed. They'll try everything to stop us or steal our work before the test." Torres snorted. "Let them try. The drive's useless without the control systems, and those are locked up here." She tapped her temple. "In human brains that can actually process 7D math." Lee finally looked up from her screens. "It's interesting, isn't it? Their big advantage, living for thousands of years, became their weakness. They stopped looking for new answers because they thought they had time to find them the old way. While we humans," White added, "had to think differently, had to take chances, had to imagine impossible things." Another alarm sounded. Davis again. "Captain, we're detecting scanning beams from the alien ships in orbit. They're trying to peek inside." Walker smiled. "Let them scan. The hull's designed to scatter their sensors. All they'll see is a standard fusion drive." The next hours flew by in a blur of activity. The crew ran simulation after simulation. Engineers made final adjustments to the drive. Security teams patrolled the perimeter, watching for any alien attempts to breach their defenses. As his shift ended, Walker stood in the drive chamber, staring at the heart of their revolution. The 7D core pulsed with a soft blue light, looking deceptively simple. This machine would change everything, if they survived the test. Having doubts, Torres asked, joining him. "Not about the drive," Walker said. "I'm wondering what happens after, when humanity proves all these ancient races wrong, when the balance of power shifts." Torres watched the core pulse. "Maybe they need this wake-up call, a reminder that age doesn't equal wisdom, that there's always something new to learn." "If we succeed," Walker said, "nothing in the galaxy will ever be the same." "When we succeed," Torres corrected him. "Tomorrow we finish the checks. In 5 days, we make them stop laughing. Above them, through miles of moon rock, alien ships circled like vultures, waiting for the humans to fail. They would wait in vain. The day of the test arrived with a sky full of alien ships. Hundreds of vessels from across the galaxy hung in Earth orbit, their sensors fixed on the lunar surface. Inside the hidden base, Captain Walker stood before his crew in the Horizon Breakers briefing room. "This is it," he said, looking at each face in turn. "Everything we've worked for comes down to the next hour. The whole galaxy is watching, waiting for us to fail. Let's show them what humans can do." Torres raised her hand. "Sir, final drive check is complete. All systems are green. Navigation is ready," Lee added. "Course is plotted through normal space and the other spaces." She grinned. "The aliens won't believe what they're about to see." Security Chief Davis spoke up from his station. "We're detecting active scanning from 90% of the observation fleet. They're really trying to figure out our secret." The ship's intercom crackled. "Bridge, this is Control. The Galactic Council representatives are demanding one final inspection before launch." Walker pressed the reply button. "Tell them it's too late for inspections. We launch in 20 minutes. The crew moved to their stations. Through the ship's external cameras, they watched the massive lunar doors slide open above them. Dim Earthlight spilled into the secret dock, revealing the Horizon Breaker to the waiting universe. "Look at those sensor readings, Spike," White said, checking his instruments. "Every alien ship up there just went to full power scanning." "Let them look," Torres replied from her engineering station. "The drive's already spinning up. They won't understand what they're seeing anyway." Walker sat in his command chair, strapping in. "All stations, report. Engineering ready. Navigation ready. Science ready. Security ready. Medical ready. All systems go, Captain." The countdown began. Through the comms, they could hear the aliens chatter. "Their power readings are all wrong. That can't be a functional drive system. They're going to kill themselves. This is a waste of time." At 10 seconds, the 7D drive's hum changed pitch. Torres watched her readouts carefully. "Drive is nominal. Reality fabric starting to respond." 5 seconds, the computer announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. Walker took a deep breath. "Activate 7D drive." Torres pulled the activation lever. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship trembled slightly, and the view through their cameras changed. "What are they doing? These readings are impossible. Their ship is distorting space-time. Stop them. They'll tear reality apart." The alien panic was music to Walker's ears. "Status. Drive is functioning perfectly," Torres reported, her voice steady despite her excitement. "Power consumption exactly as predicted. We're starting to slide." Through the cameras, they watched space itself seem to fold around their ship. The stars began to stretch and twist in ways that made the eyes hurt. The alien vessels looked like they were being viewed through rippling water. "Their sensors must be going crazy," White said, checking the incoming data. "We're registering scanning beams from every ship up there, but they can't understand what they're seeing." Lee's hands flew over her navigation console, beginning transition to higher space in 3, 2, 1. Reality flickered. For a brief moment, every crew member felt like they were being turned inside out and back again. Then the sensation passed, and the view through their cameras changed completely. The normal universe fell away. They floated in a space between spaces, where colors had taste and sound had shape. Through their special sensors, they could see the threads of reality itself, paths between dimensions that no other race had ever traveled. "Drive is stable," Torres reported, her voice filled with wonder. "We did it. We actually did it." The alien chatter had turned to chaos. They'd vanished. "These readings are impossible. How did they do it? Where did they go?" Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Navigation. Take us on our planned course. Let's show the galaxy what this ship can really do. The Horizon Breaker moved through higher space, riding waves of possibility that humans alone had discovered. Behind them, in normal space, 1,000 alien vessels hung silent. Their laughter finally stopped. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, and nothing would ever be the same. The Horizon Breaker glided through 7-dimensional space, surrounded by realities that no human eye was meant to see. The bridge crew sat in stunned silence, watching their sensors try to make sense of what lay before them. "Captain," White called from his science station. "You need to see this." He pressed a button, and the main view screen filled with streams of data. "We're detecting life out here. Intelligence, but not like anything we've ever encountered." Walker unstrapped from his chair and floated to White's station. In normal space, the ship's artificial gravity would keep them grounded. Here, different laws applied. "Show me," he ordered. The screen shifted, showing patterns of energy that moved with clear purpose through the higher dimensions. They flowed like rivers of light, but each movement seemed carefully planned. "They're aware of us," Torres said from engineering. "The drive is picking up. Signals? Vibrations? I don't even know what to call them." Lee's navigation console suddenly lit up with new information. "Captain, they're showing us paths, routes through this space that we never mapped. It's like they're teaching us how to move here." A soft hum filled the bridge, not coming from any speaker, but seemingly from the space around them. Colors that had no names in human language danced across the walls. The crew felt thoughts that weren't their own brush against their minds. "They're trying to communicate," White whispered. "The beings here, they recognize us as something new, something different." Through the ship's special sensors, they watched the energy beings gather around them. Unlike the physical races of normal space, these creatures existed in multiple dimensions at once. They flowed through reality like fish through water. "Getting translation attempt," Torres announced. Her console displayed waves of symbols that slowly resolved into English text. They're saying we're the first physical beings to reach this space, while still being alive." More messages followed. "Welcome, solid ones. You have broken the barriers. Your minds are different, special. You see what others cannot." Walker felt a presence in his mind, gentle but vast. Images flowed into his thoughts. The galaxy seen from impossible angles, paths between stars that bent through higher dimensions, and secrets of space and time that the starborn had never imagined. "They're showing us everything," he breathed. "All the knowledge that the other races missed because they couldn't reach this space." White's console beeped urgently. "Captain, I'm getting readings from normal space. The alien fleet is going crazy. They can detect echoes of what's happening here, but they can't understand it. Some ships are actually retreating." Torres laughed, scared of what the primitives might bring back. The higher dimensional beings continued their silent teaching. Through their sensors, the crew watched as the energy creatures demonstrated how to navigate this strange space, how to use the paths between dimensions to cross vast distances in moments. "Sir," Lee called out, "they're showing us a way to improve the drive, a way to make the dimensional transition smoother. It's so simple. How did we miss it?" "Because we weren't looking at it from this angle," Torres replied, already making adjustments to the drive systems. "Literally from this angle. You need to see space from the 7th dimension to understand it." Another message formed on their screens. "Your race sees differently. Your short lives make you learn faster. Your minds are young, flexible. You will teach the others." Walker understood. Humanity's greatest weakness, their brief lifespans, had become their greatest strength. They couldn't afford to spend thousands of years slowly learning the universe's secrets. They had to think differently, faster, better. "Captain," White said softly, "they're offering to show us more. Much more. Things about space and time that would change everything we know about physics." Walker looked at his crew. Each face showed the same mix of awe and determination. In just 1 hour, they had learned more than humanity had discovered in 1,000 years of science. "Show us," he said to the waiting beings. "Show us everything." As the higher dimensional entities began their lessons, Walker thought of the Starborn and their arrogant laughter. Soon, humanity would return to normal space with knowledge that would reshape the galaxy. The age of alien mockery was over. The age of human achievement had begun. The Horizon Breaker slid back into normal space near Jupiter's orbit, carrying secrets that would change everything. But they weren't alone. Dozens of alien ships waited in ambush, their weapons already charged. Multiple hostile signatures, Davis shouted from his security station, reading weapons log from 15 different vessels. A harsh voice cut through their communications. "Human vessel, power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Your dimensional drive technology is now under Starborn control." Captain Walker's face hardened. "I was wondering when they try this." Status: drive is still hot. Torres reported from engineering. "We can jump again in 30 seconds if needed. Hostile ships are moving to surround us," Lee added, her hands hovering over the navigation controls. "They're trying to box us in with some kind of energy web." Walker pressed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, battle stations. Let's show them another human surprise." The first shots came from a Starborn cruiser, bright beams of energy slicing through space, where the Horizon Breaker had been a second before. But the human ship wasn't there anymore. It had shifted slightly sideways in space, using its drive to slide partially into higher dimensions. "What's happening?" The alien commander's voice crackled with static. "Our weapons passed right through them." Torres grinned at her console. "The drive isn't just for traveling. When we're partially phased, normal matter can't touch us. A little trick our new friends taught us." 3 more alien ships opened fire. Their weapons passed harmlessly through the Horizon Breaker's half-phased hull. Walker watched calmly as the enemy grew more desperate. "They're launching boarding pods," Davis warned. "Some kind of phase-match technology." "Now that's just rude," Walker said. "Torres, show them what else we learned up there." Torres typed rapidly on her console. The 7D drive hummed, and reality rippled around the ship. Suddenly, the approaching boarding pods found themselves emerging from their launch tubes backwards, their own momentum reversed through dimensional manipulation. "Impossible," the alien commander screamed. "No race can control space like that." "No race until now," Walker replied calmly. "Last warning. Stand down, or we'll be forced to demonstrate more of what we've learned." Instead of backing off, more alien ships joined the attack. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and exotic weapons crisscrossed space. None touched the Horizon Breaker, which danced between dimensions like a leaf in the wind. "They're calling for reinforcements," Davis reported. 5 more battle groups jumping in. Walker nodded. Time to show them why challenging humanity was a mistake. "Torres, activate the defense plan." "With pleasure, sir." The drive pulsed, and space itself seemed to hiccup. Every alien ship suddenly found itself floating upside down relative to its previous position. Their carefully coordinated attack formation became chaos as captains tried to reorient themselves. "What did you do to us?" The alien commander's voice shook with rage and fear. "Just flipped you through the 6th dimension," Torres replied cheerfully. "Don't worry, the disorientation only lasts a few minutes, unless you'd like another demonstration." "Sir," White called from his station, "I'm picking up transmission from Earth. The Galactic Council is in emergency session. Apparently, word of our capabilities has gotten out." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "I imagine the Starborn aren't laughing anymore. Lee, plot us a course home. Let's do it the impressive way." The Horizon Breaker's drive spun up one more time, but instead of jumping away, it created a visible tunnel through space-time, a perfectly safe passage that bent through multiple dimensions, the kind of thing that the aliens had claimed was impossible. A stable wormhole. White breathed. "We're not just showing them we can run or fight. We're showing them we can reshape space itself. The alien ships hum motionless, their weapons powered down. Through the comm came sounds of disbelief and whispered conversations in alien languages. "All hands," Walker announced, "take us home. Our work here is done." The Horizon Breaker entered its self-made wormhole with dignity, leaving behind a fleet of stunned alien vessels and a galaxy it would never underestimate humanity again. As they traveled through the dimensional corridor, Torres spoke softly. "They thought they could take our technology by force. They still don't understand." "Understand what?" Lee asked. "That the real technology isn't the drive. It's the human mind that can comprehend it." The emergency session of the Galactic Council felt very different from their last meeting. Gone was the laughter, replaced by nervous whispers and worried glances. Captain Walker stood at the center platform again, but this time the floating seats weren't filled with mocking faces. "So," first speaker Light of Stars said, his crystalline form dimmed with concern, "you have made contact with the higher ones. The beings our greatest scientists thought were merely legends." "We did," Walker replied. "And they taught us much about the true nature of space and time. Things your people missed because you couldn't reach their dimension." The massive chamber was silent. Representatives from 100 worlds watched and listened, their earlier arrogance replaced by attention and fear. "The higher ones spoke to us directly," Torres added, standing beside Walker. "They showed us why humans succeeded where others failed. Our short lives, which you mocked, force us to think differently, to take risks, to imagine new solutions." A representative from the machine worlds leaned forward. "And the attack on your vessel. Our sensors detected impossible manipulations of space-time. A regrettable incident," Walker said calmly. "One that proved humanity can defend itself if needed. But we're not here to threaten anyone. We're here to help the galaxy grow." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The first speaker's glow brightened slightly. "Help. You would share this knowledge with those who are ready." Walker nodded. "The higher ones showed us that many younger races have potential similar to humans, races that your council has ignored or dismissed as primitive." On the giant screens around the chamber, images appeared. The Horizon Breaker's recordings of higher dimensional space played for all to see. The council members watched in amazement as reality twisted and bent in ways their science said were impossible. "Our minds evolved to think in new ways because we had to," Torres explained. "The higher ones saw this in us. They believe other young races have the same potential, if given the chance." "Impossible," shouted an elder starborn. "These primitive races barely understand basic spaceflight." "Just like humans 50 years ago?" Walker asked quietly. The elder sank back in his seat. White stepped forward with his datapad. "We've identified 12 species with brains structured similarly to humans, races that could learn to see reality as we do, as the higher ones do." The chamber erupted in debate. The older races argued loudly while younger species representatives sat up straighter, hope showing on their alien faces. "You would upset thousands of years of order." The first speaker's voice boomed. "Change the very balance of power in the galaxy." "The galaxy needs change," Walker replied. "The higher ones showed us what happens to civilizations that stop growing, stop taking risks, stop imagining new possibilities. They stagnate. They die slowly, believing they know everything while understanding nothing." Torres activated a holoprojection showing the new drive design. "We'll establish a school on Earth. Representatives from the chosen races will learn alongside humans. Together, we'll explore dimensions that even the higher ones haven't reached." The younger races' excitement was visible now. Many were already sending messages to their homeworlds, requesting permission to join this new human-led initiative. "And if we oppose this plan?" asked a starborn elder darkly. Walker smiled. "You won't, because you finally realized something important. Humanity didn't just discover a new way to travel. We didn't just make contact with higher dimensional beings. We showed that everything you thought you knew about physics, about space and time, about intelligence itself, was wrong. The chamber fell silent again. The first speaker's glow dimmed further as the truth sank in. "The Council recognizes Earth's right to share its knowledge as it sees fit," he said finally. We look forward to learning what your students discover." As the session ended, representatives from the younger races crowded around the humans, eager to be considered for the new school. Walker watched them with satisfaction, remembering how the higher ones had described humanity's role. "We're not here to replace the old powers," he told Torres quietly. "We're here to wake them up, to remind them that the universe is bigger, stranger, and more wonderful than they ever imagined. And if they don't wake up, then humanity and our new allies will leave the galaxy into the future without them." 6 months after the Horizon Breaker's historic flight, Earth had changed beyond recognition. The once secret lunar base had become humanity's first 7-dimensional academy, where students from 12 young races learned alongside humans. Captain Walker stood at the observation deck, watching ships arrive through dimensional corridors that sparkled like rivers of light. Each vessel carried new students, eager to learn what humanity had discovered. "The latest group from the Centauri worlds just landed," Torres said, joining him at the window. "Their brains are almost exactly like ours. They're learning faster than expected." Below them, in the Academy's main courtyard, aliens of various shapes and sizes mingled with human teachers. Some walked on legs, others floated, a few rolled on wheels, but all shared the same look of wonder in their eyes or equivalent sensory organs. "How's the new drive production going?" Walker asked. "Better than expected. The higher ones were right. These younger races see things differently. One of our Proxima students found a way to improve efficiency by 12% just by thinking about space from a new angle." A soft chime announced another arrival. Through the window, they watched a ship emerge from a dimensional pocket. Unlike the crude tiers in space created by older races' drives, this was a smooth transition, beautiful and elegant. "That's one of ours," Torres said proudly. "Horizon Seeker, first of the new fleet, ready for its maiden voyage next week." Walker nodded. The Horizon Seeker was bigger than their original ship, designed specifically for exploration of higher dimensions. Its crew would be mixed, humans and younger races working together to push the boundaries of known space. "Message from the Council," Davis called from his security station. "The Starborn are complaining again. Say we're moving too fast, teaching too much." "Of course they do," Walker smiled. "Send them the usual response." The usual response was a simple data package. Videos of their students making breakthroughs, discovering new principles of dimensional physics, and advancing science in ways the older races had thought impossible. White entered the observation deck, followed by several alien students. Their eyes widened at the view of Earth hanging in space, wrapped in the new dimensional defense grid that humanity had created. "Class is going well?" Walker asked. "Incredibly well," White replied. "They're already grasping concepts that took us years to figure out. Fresh perspectives, new ways of thinking. The higher ones were right about their potential." One of the students, a young alien that looked like a cross between a cat and a crystal tree, stepped forward. "Captain Walker, we've been studying the 9th dimension. We think we found something interesting." Walker raised an eyebrow. Even the higher ones rarely ventured past the 8th dimension. "Show me." The student activated a holographic display, showing mathematical equations that would have given the Starborn headaches. But to Walker, they made perfect sense. "If this is correct," Torres said, studying the equations, "there could be entire universes folded between dimensions. Places no one has ever explored." "Not yet," Walker replied. "But we will. Together." The Academy's alert system chimed softly. More ships were arriving, more students ready to learn. But these vessels were different, older, more ornate, ships belonging to the ancient races. Well, Torres smirked. "Look who finally decided to join the class." Representatives from some of the older races had finally swallowed their pride. They came not as teachers but as students, ready to learn from the humans and younger races they once mocked. The higher ones told us this would happen, Walker said, that once the older races saw what was possible, some would remember how to be curious again, how to wonder and dream. The students' equations still floated in the air, promising new adventures, new discoveries, new understanding of reality itself. Around Earth, dimensional corridors flickered as ships came and went, carrying beings united in their quest for knowledge. "Ready the Horizon Seeker," Walker ordered. "Tell all our students to prepare. It's time for humanity's next step." "Where are we going?" Torres asked, though she already knew the answer. Walker smiled, looking at the eager faces around him, human and alien alike, all sharing the same dream of discovery. "Everywhere," he said. "We're going everywhere." Above them, the stars beckoned, no longer distant points of light, but doorways to dimensions beyond imagination. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers, explorers, and dreamers. The galaxy's laughter had stopped. The age of wonder had begun.